It started one Monday morning at 8:05 a.m., too early, too cold, and way too many thoughts before coffee. Our professor walked in, holding a piece of chalk like a wand. "Today," she said, "we're talking about how you think." That caught me off guard. I think all the time. I overthink, underthink, doublethink, but I'd never really thought about thinking. She wrote one word on the board: cognition. It's the mental process of acquiring, storing, and using knowledge, she said. It's how we represent the world inside our heads. That's when I started noticing my own mind, like a scientist peering through a microscope. On my way to class, for example, I'd recognize the smell of coffee from across campus. My brain didn't consciously analyze molecules. It instantly matched that smell to Starbucks, to energy, to survival. That's cognition, invisible, constant, automatic. Concepts and categories, organizing the chaos. We humans face an avalanche of information every second. To survive it, our brains act like librarians, sorting reality into tidy categories. These mental folders are called concepts, mental groupings of objects, people, or ideas that share common features. My professor gave an example. When I say the word bird, what comes to mind? I immediately pictured a robin, red chest, small beak, hopping on a lawn. My friend from Arizona imagined a cactus wren. Another student said penguin. Same category, different mental images. That's because each of us carries a prototype, the most typical or best example of a category in our experience. A robin fits my prototype of bird, but a penguin doesn't quite match, yet both belong. The mind stretches the boundaries, updating as we learn new examples. Walking home, I started testing this idea on everything. My chair prototype used to be a wooden dining chair, but then I looked at beanbags, stools, even a yoga ball. They all serve the same function, to sit. My mental category expanded on the spot. That's how thinking works. We build schemas, organized frameworks of knowledge, and constantly adjust them through assimilation, adding to existing ideas, and accommodation, changing ideas to fit new information. Jean Piaget, the developmental psychologist, called this the essence of learning. The mind never stops remodeling itself. Images and mental maps. Tuesday afternoon, I found myself daydreaming in the library. I closed my eyes and imagined walking from my dorm to the cafeteria. I could see the path in my mind, turn at the oak tree, smell the grass near the fountain. That's a mental image, a cognitive representation that allows us to rehearse, plan, and predict. Cognitive psychologists say these images are like mental maps. We use them constantly, when giving directions, when rearranging furniture in our heads, even when picturing what tomorrow might look like. These representations aren't perfect photos, they're flexible blueprints built from experience. When I realized that, I finally understood why I always underestimate how long it takes to walk across campus. My cognitive map isn't to scale, it's based on landmarks, not distance. My brain prioritizes meaning over measurement. Formal and natural concepts. By Wednesday, the lesson turned to different kinds of concepts. Formal concepts are defined by strict rules or features. Think of geometric shapes. A square must have 4 equal sides and 4 right angles, no exceptions. Natural concepts, on the other hand, are fuzzier. They evolve from everyday experience. My concept of love, for instance, doesn't have clear rules. It's shaped by songs, family, heartbreak, and hope. Natural concepts shift with culture and context. They live and breathe like we do. Understanding that difference hit home when I was tutoring a friend in math. She said she didn't get geometry because shapes don't act like people. I laughed, but then realized that's the point. Formal concepts follow definitions, natural ones follow life. Both ways of thinking are vital, the balance of logic and experience. Problem solving, from coffee spills to big decisions. Thursday was problem-solving day, and ironically, my coffee lid betrayed me 5 minutes before class. I arrived drenched and annoyed. Perfect example, my professor said. Problem-solving starts when there's a gap between your current state and your desired goal. In my case, dryness. Psychologists describe several problem-solving strategies. Trial and error, trying solutions until something works, like flipping my cup lid around until it stopped leaking. Algorithms, step-by-step procedures that guarantee an answer, like a math formula or a recipe. Reliable but slow. Heuristics, mental shortcuts that save time but risk mistakes. For instance, choosing the simplest fix first. Heuristics rely on experience and intuition. Insight, the sudden aha moment when a solution pops into mind without step-by-step reasoning. The brain works behind the scenes, then lights up the answer. She explained that problem solving isn't just about intelligence, it's about flexibility. People often get stuck because of mental set, the tendency to approach problems in familiar ways even when they don't work. I realized I'd done that in relationships too, repeating patterns, expecting different outcomes. Psychology sneaks into everything. Another trap is functional fixedness, when we see objects only for their usual purpose. When I used a paperclip as a lockpick in high school, don't ask, I was unknowingly breaking that bias. The ability to repurpose tools or ideas is at the heart of creativity. Heuristics and biases, the brain's shortcuts. Friday's lecture felt like looking in a mental mirror. The professor called heuristics the mind's autopilot. Quick, efficient, but sometimes wrong. Take the availability heuristic, judging how likely something is based on how easily examples come to mind. After watching a week of shark attack documentaries, you might think swimming is deadly, even though car accidents are far more common. Media doesn't just inform, it programs your perception of probability. Then there's the representativeness heuristic, basing judgments on how much something matches a stereotype. If someone is quiet and loves books, we might guess they're a librarian instead of a truck driver, even though statistically there are far more truck drivers. The brain prefers stories to statistics. I realized I do this constantly. I assume my messy roommate isn't responsible, or that a confident speaker must know what they're talking about. My professor smiled. Awareness, she said, is the first step toward better thinking, creativity, and divergent thinking. That weekend, I visited an art exhibit on campus. Walking past sculptures made from recycled metal, I remembered what we discussed about creativity, the ability to generate ideas that are both novel and useful. It's not limited to art. Scientists, teachers, engineers, and even baristas use creativity daily. Psychologists describe divergent thinking as the ability to explore many possible solutions from a single starting point. It's brainstorming, improvising, connecting unrelated ideas. In contrast, convergent thinking focuses on finding the single best answer, what standardized tests often reward. Watching the artists transform scrap metal into beauty made me realize that divergent thinking isn't just cleverness, it's courage. It's letting your mind wander without fear of being wrong. The best learning, I realized, feels like that, messy, unpredictable, alive. Metacognition. Thinking about a thinking Sunday night, with a cup of tea and a mountain of notes, I circled back to where we began. Metacognition, or thinking about thinking. It's self-awareness of your own mental processes, knowing when you know something and when you don't. I practiced it while studying. When I caught myself rereading the same sentence without understanding, I didn't just push through. I paused, reflected, asked, what's blocking me? That's metacognition in action. Psychologists say good learners use it constantly, planning how to approach tasks, monitoring progress, and adjusting strategies when needed. It's the difference between memorizing and mastering. In a way, the whole week had been one long metacognitive experiment. I'd started as someone who thought thinking just happened. Now I could see the gears, concepts, heuristics, insight, creativity. My mind wasn't just reacting to life, it was shaping it. Epilogue, the mind's map. On Monday, I walked to class again. Same route, same smells, but it felt different. My mental map had changed, not the one guiding me through campus, but the one guiding me through thought itself. When you understand cognition, you start to notice how your brain constantly builds and rebuilds reality, how it shortcuts, how it stumbles, how it soars. You start to see that thinking isn't something that just happens. It's something you can improve, play with, direct. And that, I think, is the real magic of psychology. It turns everyday moments into laboratories of learning. Every assumption becomes a hypothesis, every mistake an experiment, every insight a discovery. So now, when my professor writes cognition on the board, I no longer see a chapter title. I see the machinery of human thought, the same mental technology that lets us imagine, create, solve, and dream. I see the mind in motion. And somewhere, Miss Frizzle would probably say, take chances, make mistakes, and think critically.